Are we still waiting? Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to our November all-panel monthly meeting. And looks like we don't have any members of the public just yet, but I'm sure we will have some people joining in. All right. First, we'd like to start off with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Arapaho, Ute, and Cheyenne tribes, the traditional custodians of the land on which the Police Oversight Panel and Boulder Police Department operate, and pay our respects to their elders past and present. And welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. If we don't have any members of the public, but if anyone does join in, feel free to use the Q&A. And do we know who's answering questions today for Q&A?
I think usually Selena and I both try to handle that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do it. How does that?
Wonderful. Thank you both. All right. And for the public that may be watching this in the future, if you do have any complaints that you would like to submit about related to the Boulder Police Department, our web address is bouldercolorado.gov/services/police-oversight. And our panel email is policeoversightpanel@bouldercolorado.gov. And each of those avenues will have ways that you can submit a complaint for review by this whole process that we are about to jump into. So just a reminder to the public and the panel that all of our meetings are posted to our website, so you can always watch this again later. And I'll just read through our quick agenda here today. So first we'll approve our minutes from the last meeting. We'll have a co-chair election for interim co-chair. We'll have a conversation about unity, values, collaboration, recommitment. We'll have our committee updates and training, just a discussion around training, followed by the IPM report. Then we will vote on our cases and go to close out with public comment. Right, so with that, can we have a motion to approve the October minutes? Does anyone have any objections? I guess I should say. No. Okay. And I saw your hand, Soledad.
Yeah, moving to approve the meetings.
Awesome. Second, anyone?
Second.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Madeline. All right, so approval of meeting minutes. All right, nice and easy. Next, we'll go to our interim co-chair election. So this is related to, filling the role of fellow co-chair. Sherry, are you leading this conversation, or how do we move into this?
I wasn't planning on it, but I can.
That's okay. We can just sort of, so as we know, we prefer to have two co-chairs as opposed to just one, a co-chair system as opposed to just a chair, so that we have a little bit of balance there and support for each other as well. Unfortunately, we did lose Daniel, and so we're looking for somebody to fill in that position. And I think the thinking around this would be to have somebody that would fill in until the next round. So when we have new panelists come in February, then there would be an election for co-chairs that would be the full next term at that point in time. So this would just be until February, is the thinking. And maybe I'll just open it up for discussion if anybody has any thoughts or would like to throw their hat in the ring.
Can you explain to people what the co-chair does so folks know it's involved?
Yeah, absolutely, Victor. I got you. So the co-chair, the main responsibility is to sort of be So we will host all of these meetings and sort of guide through the meetings. Additionally, if there is any, there's also a regular meeting that happens between the co-chairs and the interim or the police monitor, sorry, not interim anymore. And set the agenda, helps to sort of foster communication if there is any like questions that come in. Generally, media would be contacting the co-chairs. But the idea isn't to speak for the panel, but rather to sort of get a pulse and check in with the panel and sort of help foster the conversations and discussion and things like that. So, yeah.
What
And
about checking the email? You have to check the email and you have to go to meetings. That could be special meetings, or do you have to go to other meetings as well?
Mostly just the only extra meeting that is officially on the calendar is with the IPM. And so that would be, we have that twice monthly. So we have one before our monthly meeting to sort of set the agenda, and then we have one after the monthly meeting to sort of discuss any things that maybe have come up or any action items that arose out of that monthly meeting. There may be a request for other meetings. There has been in the past, but I don't see much of that happening because specifically, like, there was some meetings that were police chief requested or things like that, and there's now a venue in the ordinance to have that discussion with the panelists that are related to that specific case, right? So it shouldn't be a discussion with the chairs anymore. It should be with the panelists directly involved with that case. But media would be probably the other big meeting that you would be pulled into. And generally, it is nice to have the chairs present for any other, like if we have community engagement events or things like that. And email, we do get those emails, but I believe the ones that are coming to the police oversight email are now going to everyone, or is that still just coming to the chairs, to the co-chairs? That might just be coming to the co-chairs then. Okay.
that's the impression that I was under.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think there's also, if there aren't enough people who volunteered to do a case review, or if you need to find substitutions, I think that's another responsibility of the co-chairs.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, typically if there is a gap that needs to be filled, we'll kind of just jump in to help facilitate. But yes. Any other questions about duties or responsibilities? Okay. Who's excited to jump in and co-chair?
I guess one thing I will say is that Hadassah, your role as co-chair also ends in February. So we will be looking for, 2 co-chairs in very short order. So that is something that we do need members of this group to step up for.
Yeah, so I think right now, probably one of the biggest responsibilities for somebody stepping in would just be to sort of absorb, the duties, the way we keep things, or communicate with panelists or with each other. So that way, when there is an election, then we can also keep that information internal as well. Since my term does end in February. Okay, another question. Does anybody have any nominations? Can we put somebody on a spot? I know.
Victor,
Looking at
I
you.
nominate
Yeah,
you, Victor.
it's my term also ends in February, and I have an option to extend for 1 year.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure where I land on that right now. But I also know the knowledge that we have in this room, when we lose it, it's hard to replace. And so I would volunteer to do this until February, just so everything sort of stays on course. And more importantly, that gives other folks in this room time to decide and contemplate and look at their schedules and really think about, is this something I can do to support this work? That list of duties seems pretty small, but why did 3 people quit before in this position? Right? So that's the mystery for me. We've had people in this position resign for a number of reasons. And so it would be unfortunate if that trend, for whatever reason, continued. And so hopefully that will stop, where the co-chairs will model, what we want for someone in this position, but also the commitment that it takes, for this. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Trying to remember, we did have, so the first term, I think they went oh no, we did have one person. So one person left the panel and they were a co-chair, and that was the early on. And then we had Ariel and Daniel that were co-chaired. Ariel co-chaired to the end of her term. And then I jumped on and joined Daniel, and with Daniel leaving the panel, then that leaves that opening as well. So yeah, I would hope that to me, it doesn't seem, I think if your commitment is to the panel, then it shouldn't be that much extra work, because it's, we're here to do the work anyway, whether you're co-chair or not. So, but I also don't want to be laissez-faire about, it is a little bit of an extra commitment. There is time, there is, communication challenges, right? Because we are expected to sort of answer questions sometimes when it can be a little bit stressful or on point. But I've never personally felt that it was too much, because we do have a lot of good support and people that will help and step in as needed. So any further thoughts, Victor?
Or anyone else?
Or anyone else?
I just want to say that I think it's really important that come February, it would be nice to have an older, quote unquote, older panelist and a newer one rather than 2 new ones, because you have Hadassah, you have so much, and Daniel had so much knowledge that we've lost with him. And then Hadassah, you have so much knowledge too, that it really is important that it gets passed to whoever is the next co-chair and a new panelist. So yeah, so that I just want to mention that now so that we can all think about that, because it is a lot of work that you've been doing for a while, and you may not know it, but you have a lot of knowledge. We know that. I know that. I see it.
And just to sort of cut, while my term officially would end in February, you guys always have my phone number. You can always call me. I'm always here for you. I very much believe in this panel and will always do what I can to support it. So yeah, it's just the time of my term has ended, and at this point, I don't work or live in Boulder, and I think that I should open up that space to somebody who does. So I'm here to help you till the end, and then some if needed. But I think we should leave that space for people that are directly in Boulder and have a little bit more of a pulse on the community itself. So. Okay. Okay, well, can we, I know that earlier there was someone who had expressed interest. Is that still the case? Is your hat still in the ring?
I nominate Victor for co-chair.
Very much agree. If Victor is into it, I think it would be great.
Do you accept the nomination, Victor?
Oh, I didn't see a vote.
Oh, well, we're not going to vote with someone who hasn't agreed to take the position.
But what if someone disagrees and they're like, hey, he's no good, right? I thought there's a vote.
I second Victor.
Okay.
That's not gonna happen, Victor.
I accept humbly. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll all vote to approve just to make sure now that we know that he is on board. Eyes or hands for yes, please. Awesome. Madeline is there. Thank you. I see you, Jason, Soledad, Lizzie, Chico, Maylin. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think that is a unanimous yes. Welcome, Victor. Awesome. All right. Any other thoughts on co-chair? Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. All right. So next agenda item is a conversation about unity, values, collaboration, recommitment. Victor, do you want, this one was your topic submittal. Would you like to sort of do an intro for the conversation?
Sure. One of the main things that comes up in the communications committee is we don't have enough time to know each other. We just spend some brief times on these boxes and these screens, but we don't know, your favorite food, your favorite color, or when we get to make some of these hard decisions, we're working with strangers versus with colleagues, right? So I just want to open up just the spaces to talk about, if you also feel maybe like Daniel felt and you're ready to step out, don't do that alone. Like we can bring things up and speak about it. But also, if you're in this till the end, like I am, because people who have these experiences don't have a choice, right? But I'm sitting here saying, oh, I choose to do this or I choose not to do this. So I just want to, just reaffirm my commitment, to like why I'm here. And just give folks a chance just to speak, on that, or if there's some confusion, or if there's just some things that no one's had a chance to hear that people want to say.
Is this where we said I sent some suggestions just to the team members? And is this where it said we would talk about it more at this meeting? Is that now?
Yeah, I think we can definitely include that in the conversation in terms of potentially having a get together just to address that, like, we're not strangers in the room piece, right?
Yeah. Okay. I don't really know where to start, but I could say, what I do know is from May of, I think it was 2019, that our first meeting of the task force took place. And up until now, lots of things have happened. Lots of things have happened, good and bad, challenging and otherwise. And so it has, in my opinion, has been a real pull on morale, the morale of the overall group. And so in an effort to unify and let's say, okay, we're here, we're a team, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're about, let's go back to the basics and maybe have something, I don't know, I don't have any ideal suggestions, something that will put us in a different reign or realm where we can just kind of kick back and get to know each other, like you just said, and something that will unify us as a team. I just love the idea that we got our little name tags, but even if we had teams, something that sets us apart to say we're special, this is special work, it's hard work, but we're here. Something that will pull us together as a team, starting there. And then when we march out, we know that we're marching together and we're in support of each other. But at the very least, we do know each other a little bit more. So yeah, that's kind of where my head is right now. I'd like to hear what do y'all think?
Yeah, go ahead, Melanie. I see your hand.
I see Jason too. Do you want to go first, Jason? I've already spoken.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Madeline. I felt that as a new panelist. It's been hard not to be able to have coffee together or chat together and really feel a sense of unity and team. I have with my fellow engagement committee panelists and a couple of people here and there, but I would love to know more about Lizzie and Jason and Kristen if you join us, you know, and other people who are not here tonight where we haven't had the chance to, you know, we're here on the screen together, but it would be nice to see the whole body and the whole person. So I would agree with you, Madeline. And also as a member of the Communication and Engagement Committee with Victor and Soledad and Madeline, I would love to be part of organizing whatever activities you all see would be good for us. So yay, Madeline, thanks so much for bringing this.
Awesome. Thank you, Melanie.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
You know, I would like to say I agree with both Madeline, I'm sorry, and Mylene. The only question I have is if we were all to get together, is that a meeting that we have to do something with? And I just want to know, because it sounds like this is supposed to be casual, where it's not a public thing, it's where we can let our hair down and meet each other on an individual personal basis.
Yeah, and I've had some conversations with Aaron from the city attorney's office. As long as we are not, you know, discussing actual business and you know, issues that we would be voting on, we can get together socially, and we don't have to invite the press.
Yes, yeah. And we did do one retreat. When was that? Early last year, right? Because it was before Ariel had left. It was either early last year or the year before. And we did just a retreat for panelists, just to sort of, everyone came together. We sort of just talked and had different like team building activities and things like that. There's been discussion before about like maybe having dinner at somebody's house and everybody just kind of getting together and eating and talking and sharing and laughing, which would be great, or any of those things. I think my main question would be whether or not we want to jump on something now, or if we want to wait until the new panelists come on. I think both would be great, but I realize we're coming into the holidays and that might be tricky. So, just something to consider in terms of what we want.
I see Sterling has his hand up.
Go ahead, Sterling.
So this kind of goes along with what everybody else is saying. Is there any plan on going back to in-person meetings anytime soon? I think that would kind of help in terms of getting people on the same page and just camaraderie.
Yeah, I'm anticipating that meetings in 2024, either we have a hybrid option or like every other meeting is virtual versus in person or something like that. But yeah, it's anticipated that in this next calendar year, we're going to start going to having in-person options.
Yeah, Chico, go ahead.
Yeah, just to concur with what Adassa said, we had, I think it's the other year, I'm beginning to lose count, but it was more about the team building activities and looking at the time frame. I would say if we had to do anything, it has to be with a new group that's coming in February, centered around training and team building. Because I think it's a tough ask trying to ask to do stuff now, then again we do it in February.
One thing that is later on the agenda with some scheduling things is that we need to get our Q4 meeting with the chief. And my thoughts were that maybe, because that would be an in-person event. So my thoughts were maybe afterwards, if anyone wants to go out and catch a drink, that would be a quick, easy option for people to see each other, outside of these formal panel meetings.
I love that idea, Sherry.
Thank you.
I'm thinking that, one, I'd like to include those people that have already done the work. They'll be leaving, but they could maybe be honored guests, just so that they get acknowledged for having been here and for having, gone through it as well. And even to invite some of the other folks from when it started as special guests. Definitely would like there to be team building exercises. There's some fun exercises you can do that serve purposes of unifying. And if we had that, and then I guess the big question in my head is there a budget? And how do we get establish, what we are able to do based on budget if one exists?
I think the budget, from my understanding, opens up more in 2024, and that in 2023, it is, I believe the words grossly overspent, worth how I've heard it. So that's okay. January 1st is a whole new year. Is my
okay. Well, I think that would go just perfectly with what Chico just spoke, saying, let's kick it out with the new year. Then we have funds, and we can have FUNDS as well as FUN.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So, timing is everything. So if that, that could serve as one of the bases for, where we go, that would be great. But yeah, that's just how my head is going.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it sounds like we all have an interest in seeing each other outside of the panel in a more social context and being able to do some of that team building. So that's something that definitely can get some effort and energy put towards as we keep moving forward.
Awesome.
Anything else before we go to committee updates?
I think I just wanted to sort of address Victor's question and concern and say, you know, if there are obviously if there is anyone that has any discomfort or anything like that and maybe doesn't feel comfortable talking in this public space, I am always available for you to talk to, and I'm sure Victor feels the same. I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like he probably would be willing to help to sort of talk off the ledge is maybe too extreme, but you know, to sort of help talk you through maybe some questions or confusions, or you know, if there is any discomfort or anything like that. We definitely want to be here to support anybody that is maybe, you know, struggling with the challenges that are being on the panel, because we do want to acknowledge that it is a thing, you know, morale is affected by all the different things that have been happening. So please do feel comfortable reaching out to me whenever, however, and we're here to discuss with you and to help maybe talk through some of those things. So,
and
Good.
I certainly would add my my name to those names as a person you can come to if you have questions or concerns or ideas you'd like to bounce off.
That's super. I don't want to leave this dangling. So if I think what I just heard us decide is that we're going to try to do something as a team building exercise to get to know each other, to work to solidify our group even more. And we're going to do that in 2024. How we do it is to be determined, but we would be looking at doing that. I would volunteer to spearhead that if Milan will work with me.
You know how much I love to work with you, Madeline. So I'd be honored. And I'm also remembering that February is Black History Month, and Madeline, you're going to be super busy.
Yes.
So just we need to get ahead of this.
Yes, you're right. You're right. So I'm really thinking between after MLK, but before Black History Month. It's where my head is, and you're absolutely right. Thank you. Thank you.
I've been around the block with you a few times.
Yeah, but we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. And you know, I instantly go to the 70s as my source of wanting to entertain. Y'all weren't even born then, so
Barely.
but it'll be good.
Yeah, and I think Soledad, Victor, you're also part of the committee, so would love to have you as well.
Absolutely.
Much so.
yeah, I see your hand, Soledad.
Yeah, so I think to Victor's point, I would really like to ask that we make like a very intentional effort in improving communication. I think part of the challenges that I have felt personally is that we show up to these meetings and things are happening and you know, and we haven't heard anything before. So I think it's important for all of us to be on the same page. I also think that it would be great to clarify what kind of conversation or communication we can have without crossing the line to, what will get us in trouble. It would be great to define what is our panel business and what are the things that we definitely cannot talk about in an email exchange. But I have felt super isolated because of that. And also, I think, kind of being allowed to ask questions and allowed to question what we're doing and how we're doing things. And I think that this is a great opportunity to kind of think about that. It is hard to build, to kind of team build if we don't build trust first. And where there is no communication, there's hardly trust. So I think for me, it's very important that we really improve our communications. And Sherry, I will ask you, sorry to put you on the spot, but to really explore what is it that we're allowed to say, what are the things that we are not allowed to discuss, what are the things that we should be discussing. And I mean, I think things have happened that are not jokes. And the Lisa situation at the beginning, Daniel's quitting, resignation to the panel, and I think kind of ignoring those facts, for me, it's hard to kind of swallow that we cannot acknowledge that things happen, we cannot acknowledge that we were impacted by it, and we cannot acknowledge that we I don't know, at least it's just myself, but like the need to talk about it or debrief or see or check in with each other, like, why is this happening and why are we here? As a new panel member, I still feel super new because we don't have that base or kind of foundation. And my fear is that if the two of you leave in February, whoever is coming in, except for Chico, I think, and who else have been here for a while, is going to be new, and they have to co-chair, and there's no like overlap, and I think that for me is concerning. But mostly, I think we really need to improve our communications, so we can start building on before we meet. I mean, it's November already. Wow. And we're thinking February, so it's 2 more months, things happen, and we still have to meet, we still have to review cases, and things keep happening. So I think that will be my ask for the two co-chairs, and for you, Sherry, is like really work on communications.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything that you've just mentioned, Soledad. I can get you some information from Erin, since she would be the expert on what we can and cannot say. But I mean, one thing to say is, as long as it is not, confidential information, specific case related information, this meeting is a chance to, bring up concerns that you have. I think that the panel is at a point right now, the whole civilian oversight system is at a point of renewal because of the ordinance. I'm here, so it's not an interim person anymore. There's a lot of new members on the panel. There's even, some new people at the professional standards unit who are going to be coming on. So I think it is a chance for the panel members really to take some ownership and, work to improve communications themselves, and really see, determine what direction, you want the panel to take. What are the priorities? And I don't think people should be afraid to ask questions. Especially with new people. I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer all of the questions that you have, but this is something that we're in a position right now to like build it together. So I welcome questions either in this meeting or offline, and definitely welcome feedback. So I think this is a really great opportunity. It's probably going to have some rocky points as we figure it out, but I think you know, like maybe 6 months from now, we could be in a really, really strong place.
Thank you, Sherry. I definitely agree. I mean, I think for me as a co-chair, my goal is never to dictate how things happen, but rather to sort of facilitate how we as a group would like to see things happen, right? And so if there is some communication that is lacking, right? So we have the agendas that are posted afterwards, we have meeting invites. Selena is now doing an awesome job of reminding us of all of our meetings and things like that, which I think has significantly helped. But you know, I know that I definitely struggle with like coming up with things that I haven't seen before, right? And so if there is something that is missing and it's just about like, hey, I didn't know about whatever, then we can sort of focus and brainstorm on how we can better communicate that. But definitely my ask would be just for you guys as panelists to just let us know when something isn't clear or needs a little bit more communication so that we can sort of address that. Because otherwise we're kind of just, you know, agenda goes out, meeting invites get sent out, things like that. It's sort of on autopilot, but just to sort of say, hey, this is, you know, question I have or whatever. I know Madeline will always call and be like, hey, when's my next meeting? And I'm like, let me help you figure it out. So yeah, just, you know, feel free to ask questions. It's what we're here for. And in terms of what we can and cannot say, like if we're talking emails, we are able to discuss setting up meetings, right? So we can say we would like to meet at this point in time to discuss something. We can't discuss those things in the meeting, right? So if we want to take on a new item or a new project or things like that, that should be discussed in a meeting that would be public accessible. But we can decide when we want to set the meeting via email. Does that make sense? Okay, wonderful. Yeah, and then we'll get some more clarification from Erin on that. Sorry, Lynn, I see you. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to tie in what Soledad talked about with what Madeline and I talked about, and I just want to say regarding our February retreat, this is by no means a closed meeting, but you know, and I would love to know what you all would like to see in such a retreat. So if you want to send an email to me or to Madeline, or to the committee, however you see it, it would be nice to really have all of you involved in deciding what we're going to be doing and what you need, what your needs are for that retreat. So just wanted to say that. And yeah, I would love to have like a mini talk about what we can and cannot email, because I've been chastised a couple times for sending things to everybody and like, you can't do this. So I would love to know a little bit more about that and really know what the boundaries are for me, and so I can decide what I can do and cannot do. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you also Hadassah offering to be there for us. And I also have to say that sometimes not knowing means that I don't know which questions I need to ask. So that has been a little bit of my kind of barely able to swim through sometimes things, but I appreciate your presence, certainly. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elaine, for clarifying that. Yeah, for sure. We definitely want it to be an all-inclusive. It's going to be our retreat, with the objective being to go across the board in making things better. And so we can only do that if we engage everyone. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yep, I see you, Victor. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just waiting for the committee reports.
Oh, okay.
Are we ready to move on to that?
I think so. Nobody else has any other lingering thoughts or questions? Okay, I think we can move on to committee updates. You want to start?
Sure. So the Communications and Engagement Committee, we did have a meeting, and we talked about the need to select a new chair for that committee. So I guess that's the first order of business. We also talked about the things that Madeline described and wanting to build more team camaraderie and find ways to do that as a priority for the communications committee. And Milan was a person who said some interest, and so I just want to open it up to anyone else who's interested in, you know, being part of this committee or who wants to be the co-chair, or Milan, if you just want to speak on your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that you know, it seems like some of our members are going to be busy next year, and so I'm kind of the default, you know, person for being chair, and I would greatly appreciate if anyone wanted to be co-chairs with me, because I think it's better to work in teams for this type of work as we organize. So I'm happy to be the chair, but would love to have a co-chair. Yeah, no, it's a great committee. We get to engage with for the newer member, we get to engage with the community, but also now we're going to engage with each other, which is really nice. And we have a lot of work to do. So especially regarding the community, there's still a lot of community members who don't know we exist. And so that's going to be the real push to do for this year, is really reaching out to community members who don't know we're here. And so if you're interested in that, I think it's going to be very rich and interesting. Would love to see you. And if you want to be co-chair, yay. Thank you. Thanks, Victor.
And Milan, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you guys also heading the website discussion in terms of like the panel part of the website and what we would maybe want to see on there?
I think so, although I think that what we want to see, and Victor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what we want to see would have to be submitted to the entire panel for a vote, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think ideally, yeah.
Yeah, I would say the co-chair process has worked well for like all, you know, the committees and just having different ideas, but also with that website work and the branding things, the committee is going to have a lot more things to do than they've done in the past. And so we would really benefit from, you know, having a co-chair, knowing that there's going to be more things coming up since we've been on break and had, you know, all these other things happening. So.
Awesome. And we do still have we will have some admin support for that piece as well. Is that correct, Sherry? For the website?
Yeah, there are the expectation is that there's going to be some like cleaning up that's happening right now. Someone is working on just trying to make the website more consistent and clean and updated without doing that much content modification. But then being able to, I'm trying to get the like adding some heavier things into the IT work plan for 2024. But when it comes to content, that's a pretty easy lift, is my understanding. When the panel decides with what they want to have on the website. but things like trying to get a dashboard and, you know, more information going out to the public, that I need to get it on the work plan with the IT department.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Chico, do you want to talk about legacy?
Yes. So for legacy, we decided that we were gonna meet after the new ordinances came into being. So the next meeting is scheduled for November 30th. I think there's Jason, Lizzie, and myself involved in that committee. So with legacy, just high level, is our role is to conduct analysis and review past events, and with a view of making policy recommendations and looking at trends. So we look at sources of data, the BPD, the city, and the community as well. Those will be our sources of data, and we'll try to come up with some reports with a view of policy recommendations. So we're looking forward to a meeting on the 30th of November. And anybody else who wants to attend, they're more than welcome to do so.
Awesome. Thank you, Chico. All right, and I'll talk about governance for a second. So currently, governance is just me. We can use a lot of help. There will be, so governance would be basically help like writing the bylaws, so our internal laws, right? Not necessarily ordinance, but we write our own panel laws. So it's kind of the sort of like the working group was for the ordinance. So we get together, we say, okay, these are the things that we as a panel would like to update or need to address. And so we work out the language and then we bring it to the panel for voting for final approval on the bylaws. And so that's what we do there. The next meeting, sorry, I just had it pulled up, is next Wednesday, the 15th. Since it's just me, we can, if there's somebody that has an interest in that time and date does not work, please just let me know and we can adjust it and move it to wherever. I'm flexible. So if you do have any interest, please join on because we'll need some help in revising the bylaws, especially with the new ordinance. So yeah, look forward to seeing you.
Hadassah,
Yes.
just so you know, like if like that's something where we can also do, you know, some staff support.
Okay.
Not next week because of NACOL, but you know, especially for the parts of the bylaws that basically just need to figure out which part of the new ordinance now it references and maybe highlighting like, does this need to change? So if that's definitely something that we can talk about of how to relieve that lift off of you know, volunteer members.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that would be
Obviously not any bylaws that have, you know, decisions to be made out of like that the panel needs to work on themselves, but just more of that admin type of attention to detail we can work on.
awesome. That would be great. Okay, yeah, so maybe tentatively we'll be moving this next governance meeting to a different time, but we can discuss. We'll send that out via email and see if there's any interest in that. Awesome, thank you, Sherry.
Hadassah, I'll try to join you. I just, there's so much to be done, and the harvest is plentiful, labor is a few. Count, let's talk about it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll send you the time and date, and if we want to keep that meeting just for panel before we bring on admin help, we can do that as well. So
Okay, all right,
thank you so much, Madeline.
absolutely. I just feel so, you can't do it by yourself.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other committee comments, questions, thoughts? Okay, I think we are halfway through our meeting time, so we'll take a good 5-minute break. I don't believe in counting the minute that we're in, so we'll start it at 33 and we will go to 38. So you have a full 5 minutes. So we will see you back at 38. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Welcome back, everyone. Oh. Everyone else, another minute, and then we'll jump into trainings with Sherry. Yes. Cool. Yep, I think I've seen everybody come on already, even if they turn it off, but so I think you can jump in, Sherry, when you're ready.
Yeah, well, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is just the most, people who watch the ordinance or paid attention to that, there is a ride along requirement that is going to happen. And the Boulder Police Department is ready to, start trying to schedule those with you. I don't know if anyone saw or who all read the email that I sent out earlier this week about ride alongs. But please contact Bethany. My thoughts are just, trying to get them scheduled sooner before it's real winter is probably better for everyone. And you have the ride along option, or you have the 2-hour walk along option. And Bethany was very accommodating to schedule my ride alongs that I conducted earlier this month. So I do encourage people to get those, at least start the scheduling process sooner rather than later. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, if you do schedule a ride along, for some things to maybe look out for, or to try to observe, I can give you some ideas of things that I found to be helpful. I see Chico's hand is up.
Yeah. How long are these ride-alongs supposed to last? How long?
The ride along is a 4-hour, and the walk along would be a 2-hour.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. And if you start at the beginning, the times 6 a.m. or 2 p.m. and then it's in the email, I think maybe 9 p.m. are the times that they have their roll call, where it's interesting to hear how their teams come together to discuss how they're going to handle the next shift. And at least when I was there, they also went over some of the challenges that they had earlier that week, and things to keep an eye on. So I thought that was a really interesting part to see, like, what support the officers get and the instructions that they get at the beginning of their tour. But I was also told that if that doesn't work with your schedule, they will find a way to be able to have you start your ride along mid shift. But I found the roll call part really interesting. Does anyone have any other questions about ride alongs? Yeah, Lizzie.
Did we I know there was some back and forth about like doing it in twos, or if we should do it solo, not necessarily for like safety reasons, but just might be nice to have a buddy since it's a long session. Is that something we can do for the ride along, or do we need to stick to one because of the car space restrictions?
I will let that be up to the Boulder Police Department. Because the concern is that the back of the cars, the caged aspect of the cars. So I don't know if people say, I'm fine, I'd rather do this with somebody else, but I'll ride in the back seat, if PD will be okay with that, or if they would just say that that's not their policy. So they have to make that decision.
Okay.
I think in the past it has been that you could only have one person for a ride along, which is why the walk along was a great option because you can have multiple people join in that as well. Am I remembering correctly? Sterling, do you have a
Oh,
sense?
yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
You don't really want to be in the back of the police cars based on the stuff that goes on back there. But definitely you can do a walk along with more than one person. Be very simple.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Sterling. I wanted to just make sure that everyone knows also, because I know there had been a little bit of confusion with the ordinance of whether all of the training requirements would immediately apply to current panel members. And Nuria has basically said that she is extending the time frame for current panel members. So because there was never any intention that this passage of the ordinance would cause any sort of additional pause to the panel conducting its work. So I just wanted to give people assurances that people will have to meet some of these training requirements, but that it can have an extension until we start onboarding new people, and then current panel members can go in lockstep to pick up any training that they might need with the new panel members. So I think some of you probably have noticed that Farah has joined us in this meeting, and we all welcome her back. We're glad that she was able to take time off to attend to very important life circumstances, but we're also very happy to see her right now. She is going to be involved in some of the next steps that happen because of the passage of the ordinance. So we're anticipating that she's going to be helping us figure out like the training schedule and and some of those other issues that come with training and then onboarding of new members. So I don't know if Farah, you wanted to say anything right now or just remain observer.
Sure. No, I do. Thank you, Sherry. Because I think it's important that everybody know that we're more likely than not going to be working on the onboarding process, training, and the selection process all simultaneously. But I want to kind of start with the same formula I started when I came on board in February, in that I really want to hear about your experiences with onboarding, right? And I particularly actually want to start with Lizzie and AB because you are our newest members, and then kind of work my way backwards because I need what you experience to really understand what you experience so I can help improve it for the next round of members that are coming. And it's recent for you. I mean, it's recent for a lot of you, actually. So I really want to start there. And then as it relates to training, I feel like this is probably more likely for Victor, Hadassah, and Chico, but you guys have already been through some pretty significant training already. And so what I want to glean from you and your experience in that training is like what you liked and what you didn't. Like I've heard different views about like the simulations that you guys have gone through, whether or not that was helpful. So I really want to get those insights, and particularly the trainings that you went through that you could easily connect the dots in terms of assisting you in understanding how to do case review, because that's really where I want to make that connection clear for panel members. And so I will probably go back, ask Selena to help, because I don't know if you guys remember, like probably in February, March, I met with 2 of you at a time. So we'll probably do that again so I can kind of get that background information and sense to figure out how we develop better onboarding, because that is so key, because that sets the stage for the panel members. Like if you need to have a strong onboarding process, and then it also gives you confidence in the work that you're about to embark upon too. So there's, there's a method to that madness. And so I think we're all in agreement that needs to be strengthened. So, so I'm gonna, start there, but I really want to get your insights before we start kind of peeling the onion on how to improve that system. And then the goal is to create a plan and make it so it's like a well-oiled machine. So we're not recreating the wheel every time we have new members, right? Like it's pretty much ingrained in the foundation, and it's also consistent with the theme that you guys have been talking about tonight in terms of, resetting kind of resetting the panel and the direction where it's going and kind of rebuilding it a little bit. So that's really kind of what I'm going to be focusing on probably for the next month and a half or so that we have something in place, at least a plan in place for when the new members come on first quarter next year. Does that sound, because I'm sure you guys have thoughts. And I'm going to ask you to be as candid as possible because we know there are some bumps and we need to fix them. So yeah, so those conversations will be hopefully happening soon. And if it's easier for me to join your committee meetings to have these conversations to save time and space, I'm happy to do that too. Feel free to let me know if you have a preference on that. But that's where we're at. And so I'll need to work through some of the selection process stuff. So I want to read through, because I believe you guys have gone through 2 selection processes since the beginning of the panel. And so I'm going to read through all of that to see what's been done in the past and then how we can work through it and create the policies and the plan for it going forward. So that was it, but thank you.
All right. Let's.
I think we're on IPM report if we're done with training.
Yeah, I'm going to just give me a moment to share my screen.
Sherry, while you're doing that, could I ask just a quick question? Probably is a dumb one, but I'll risk it anyway. Is there a timeline? What is the timeline to complete the ride-alongs or the walk-alongs?
Just give me a moment.
Oh, okay.
The timeline to keep that falls into the sort of training where the current panel members have an extension. So it can, there is no hard deadline right now. I get cold really easily, so I would prefer to do a ride along or walk along in November rather than in February. So that's just me though. I get cold very easily.
Yeah.
Sherry,
but
it's to say that it's an annual requirement.
Okay.
Right. But Nuria has also said that she's extending the or giving an extension to current panel members so that we don't have a situation where the work has to stop because of training.
Okay.
And honestly, the Boulder Police Department also is they're getting a recruit class pretty soon, so their times are going to be they were already talking about end of November, December, and January. So BPD they're willing to work with people, but it's not as if they don't have other things that they're dealing with regarding their recruit class and the resources that takes.
Okay. There's technically there's no hard cutoff.
Right now I don't see one. I mean, Farah, you're the person who, wrote or worked on this ordinance to anticipate whether people would need to have it done.
So I think that I think what we put in there was calendar year. So
Okay.
I mean, I don't, you know, I don't think that there's necessarily urgency to get it done, but I do agree with Sherry's perspective is I am very pro ride along. I've done many and I've loved it every single time. So I'm a little biased in this view, but I do agree with Sherry's perspective in that if you have the ability to do it sooner than later, just to do it sooner than later, but like, you know, do you have to get it done in 90 days? No, I mean, you technically have a year to do it. But I just think that the insights that you get from a ride along is so directly related to case review because so many complaints of police misconduct come from patrol that it just helps give you better insight. So if you have the ability sooner than later to do the 4 or the 2 hours, I think it's better to just do it.
Got it. Yeah,
And
it's
if-
just been, it's been such a long time since I've done it. I have done it regularly at some point in my life, professional life, but no, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of be able to gauge. So it's all good. It's all good.
I'll throw it out there again. If you give me enough notice, I'm happy to, take time out of my day and put a uniform on and go take people out on a ride along just to help get the process moving along.
Okay.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
thanks.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I do think that as part of building the training system, and this is something that we made Selena to help, is that if we're getting closer to the year and someone hasn't done it, that we ping you and say, hey, you got to get your ride along done. You know what I mean? Just as a friendly reminder. But essentially you have a year to get it done. But I think particularly with flexibility and the offer from Sterling, I would definitely take him up on that.
Thank you.
Quick question, can we do both? Like, I imagine that a ride along is very different from walk along in terms of what is being done. And so I'm just wondering, I would be curious to do both actually.
I think you'd have to ask Bethany.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think there's a limit. It would just be about like their capability to fit us in.
I was looking at the ride along general order earlier today, and the if I'm remembering correctly, people are supposed to be limited to 1 a year. But there also was a section that said that basically allowed exceptions, and I would assume panel members probably would fall under some exceptions. But I would post that to Bethany.
Okay, thank you.
Just to clarify, since it is calendar year, if someone did one this year, they would need to do another one again next year. Correct?
Oh, that's a good point. Thanks.
Can we take that as a point of clarification? Because I don't know if I necessarily agree with that interpretation, but let's take that and ask Aaron. Because when I think of calendar year, I think of from the day it went into effect to the next. So I think of October 19, 2023 to October 2024. But I definitely think we should get legal determination on that, because I think that's an important point to know, so we don't set ourselves up for failure on that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Farah.
Because that would apply to all trainings then.
100%.
Annual. Okay. Okay. So, is someone asking a question? So, can people see my screen? And it's the presentation? Okay. This is going to be really quick. This was a very odd month for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons being that the chief was out of out of town for almost the entire month of October. So her being gone prevented a lot of things from moving forward. But I think given how long this meeting is, this works out actually very well. So in the month of October, there were 0 case files completed. We still have 1 case that the panel did review of that's now pending Boulder Police Department disposition. And there are 2 cases that are awaiting panel review. One of those I'm expecting to happen pretty quickly, or to have the file back from Boulder Police Department pretty quickly. So I classified in the month of October 3 cases of misconduct, 0 serious misconduct, and 0 community inquiries. Observed 0 interviews, and 0 investigations were deemed thorough and complete. And like I said, 0 investigations that the Boulder Police Department were closed. As of the end of October, the docket was 16 cases. And that is the end of the like case report for the monitor. But I do want to say that November is already on track to look much more like what you're used to seeing. I would like to continue the conversation about the website and accessibility. So we are working on updating the monitor and the oversight websites. And if people have thoughts or ideas, please let us know what you would like to see changes, what you think is working, what you definitely don't think is working about the panel part of the website. It sounds like community engagement is going to be working on that. So we can make sure that we can collect feedback and share that in community engagement meetings. But the as I said, some of this is out of sequence because it was brought up earlier. But one thing that people that I'm hoping to change for this next December's meeting is that the IPM report, we've been working to put that in a fully accessible version so that people who need screen readers to get information, that they will be able to fully access the independent police monitors report. And it's anticipated that when it's in that format, it will be published in advance of the meeting. And so the individual cases that the independent police monitor has been reading the summaries and everything aloud will instead be available for all of you to view in advance, and for members of the public to be able to view in advance. And my thoughts are that we don't read it aloud, but instead, if people have questions about it, that they can ask, but otherwise being able to save some of that time of both panel members and members of the public who are watching, so that we can get on to more substantive work. Certainly leaving space if people do have questions, but not having the read along time that I assume has been frustrating for people. But obviously, if people have any objections to that idea or any concerns, you can voice those now, or you can contact me by email to share those concerns if you have them. Yeah, Milen.
Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot tonight, but I have a question regarding the website, and it's not so much about accessibility, but there's a letter from October 22nd, 2021 with the NAACP that comes from about the NAACP, and that has been a little bit of a source of disagreement and tension with the NAACP that I would personally would like to put to the panel to remove it. I don't think it's necessary to have it anymore. I think that we need to mend our relationship with the community and with organizations such as this one, especially after the year that we just went through. And so when or where would it be appropriate for us to bring that up? Or is this the place for that?
I think that that is a great question. I would say that that's an issue that maybe people should be able to think about and come back to, either to the community engagement meeting next month or to the all panel meeting.
Yeah, I think it would be good for us to discuss this and see what we think as a panel, because I think that's a panel decision to have, but I would love to bring that up next week. Is there anything that I need to do if I want to do that, or can I just submit it to you as an agenda item for next time?
I mean, one thing that I did this month, and I don't know if it's going to work, but at least I'm trying, is to have, in advance of the co-chairs meeting, basically a document in SharePoint where people can, put things that they would like to be considered for the agenda, on that document. Certainly you can reach out in other ways, but that's, I just figured having that open document for anyone to add something would be a way that we can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Soledad?
Yeah, I remember, I think, Milan, did you bring this up at the beginning when we were just elected? I would think that we can, it will make sense to make the request that the panel review that letter that Milan is referring to, so we are prepared to vote on it next meeting, and so we get it done. I don't know how that, if we have to move to do something or but I do think that there's something that have been lingering there, and it will be great for us if that's okay with everyone to say that we can vote on it next meeting, so everyone can review said letter and have an opinion by then.
I think that makes a lot of sense. We'll make sure that it's on the agenda for next meeting. I also just, there was a MOU with Naropa for members of the panel to be able to receive counseling for any type of secondary trauma that they experience because of their work on this panel. And I expect that people are not going to have an objection to having that renewed, but I did feel like I wanted to, put it before the panel before reaching out to Naropa to renew that, or to start the process of renewing that agreement. So basically,
Sorry, I did have a question. Have we explored other sources, or would it be tied specifically just to Naropa?
I have, this was just brought to my attention that there had been this MOU that looks like it's expired. So as far as I know, I don't know what brought it initially to be Naropa that was the provider that was worked with.
I will say that is within the community service that Naropa has. They do have a community service that provide counseling at very low cost or free, I think. So my guess is that we are kind of part of that. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, it is a benefit that's provided to panel members on behalf of the city, or it was. And if we can renew it, it would be again. Milen?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get that service. I'm not really sure. I probably missed it at some point, but I haven't looked into it. But also I'm just wondering if it's Naropa, does that mean that it's done with students, or is it actual true professionals? I mean, students will be true professionals, but they're not, you know what I'm trying to say, and that considering what we're looking at and what we are going through, I would hope that it's professionals and not student, that we're not part of a training of some sort of the students.
I believe it is. I mean, you can. It's in. I put the MOU in the SharePoint folder, so all of you can look at it. Maybe this is another thing that we need to wait for to put on the agenda again for next month.
Yes, and it is grad students in the process. It's not, licensed LCSWs. And it's like specific for the session. So you don't have to do an assessment or anything like that. You could just go there and talk about like very specific things related to, case reviews or body cam footage that you have to watch or things around that. And so, yeah, I would suggest that we get a chance to review the document and then come back to it.
Okay.
Because it is an important resource. We can talk about it with each other, but also it's good to have some other outlet as well.
Okay, I'll add that to the December agenda also. And I'll make sure that it's in the December folder too, so people can easily access it. There were I was going to propose, there are a couple of things about scheduling. I feel like I want to compress those conversations though, and do more of that just offline because of where we are timing wise, and I want to respect people's time. But one thing or a few scheduling things that I would like us to see if we can get a resolution to in today's meeting would be that there is the Q4 meeting with the chief. I talked with Bethany, the admin at BPD, and she said that Wednesday, December 6th and November 29th look like they would work for meetings with the chief. It would be sometime in the early evening probably. And I was hoping that we could figure out whether either of those days works, and if so, which one might work better for people.
Sorry, can you clarify the dates again, Sherry?
Sure. They're Wednesdays. So November 29th. So that's like the week after Thanksgiving, and then December 6th, the following week. Oh.
Can we vote on that? Or, I mean, I can say I'm available for both, but I would prefer the 6th. And so if we could do a show of hand of the 29th or the 6th, that might be the easiest.
Okay. And Chico has his hand up also.
No, I was just gonna say, in the past we've had the pause sent out, and that helps people reflect on looking at our schedules. Because just now to make a decision like that, I don't know.
Okay, well, we can do that by poll then if people would rather.
Hey, Sherry, did you mention a time, or was that still to be determined? Was this daytime or evening?
Oh, this would be like shortly after, after business hours.
Okay.
When I spoke with Bethany, she said that At least that in the past that they like provided dinner for panel members.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, and Selena says she can schedule a doodle poll, so expect that to come out soon. Just some updates. Next week, I'm going to be at NACOL along with Soledad and Melen. So we are going to be surrounded by civilian oversight professionals and be able to, you know, learn and hear some of their trials and tribulations. And I've gone in the past and I've always come back feeling so much more invigorated and motivated, and it really helps you feel like less alone in the work that we do. So if people are trying to contact me during the day next week, I will probably be slower in my response than I normally am. So just let you know that, but I will be obviously at night checking emails and, you know, doing some work. Let's see. One thing I really would like people to like take to heart is, you know, I'm new in this position, and I want to work with you to, you know, move this forward and improve civilian oversight in Boulder. But I am very receptive to feedback. So if there is something that doesn't seem like it's working or something that you think you'd like me to try differently, I want to hear that sort of feedback. We're all working together on this, and, you know, I know that everything I do isn't going to hit the nail on the head. So I really would, if you have ideas or thoughts on ways that I can do things better or something that did seem to work well, please let me know. I really would like to get some feedback on how this is working. And also I feel like I've hit the turning point where I'm up to speed enough about what's happening in Boulder oversight that I'm like ready to meet community members and leaders and be able to talk about some of the work that we can do. So if you have, you know, events or people, organizations who you would like to make an introduction to or just suggest that I reach out to, I would really appreciate that, because that's something now that I need to start doing, now that I think I'm not going to completely embarrass myself when meeting with people from the public.
Terry, that's a great point. I would be willing to, we have lots of things coming up starting in January that involve the African American community. And I would be more than happy to introduce you in those, in as many of those environments and events and all of those things. Even perhaps to get engaged in some way as a part of the team. I don't know. No. Yeah, but I think to let it be known that you're here, that the oversight is here. It's not anything that's well known. And I think we got to pump up the marketing. And so just to be visible and to say you're here and what your objectives are, I think could be very helpful to the overall process. And so I'd be willing to introduce you to those environments as much as possible.
That would be very appreciated.
Sounds like a plan.
Excellent.
Okay.
I think that is all. So we can go on to the next topic, Hadassah.
Awesome. All right. So we have our voting on cases next. You should have all received the cases that we will be reviewing today via email. Did anyone have any questions about those? It would be the October 2023 case summaries. Okay. So we can't share this because it does contain confidential information. But typically what we would do is we read out the case ID with the allegations, and then we vote whether or not to review this case as a panel. So if we choose to review it, then it would go to Sherry for further investigation, compiling of all the evidence, and then we would have at least 3 panelists that would sit on that case review and dive in and then offer disposition, policy, or other recommendations. So that's the process that we have for that. Any questions before we jump in? Okay. Does everyone have the case summaries up to look at? Seconds here. Okay, so we have 3 cases, correct, Sherry? Yes, yeah, okay. So the 3 cases that we have are MI 2023-31, and this is also related to 32, but they are separate, so we'll vote on each one. For 3031, there is an allegation against one officer, 3 different allegations. First one is a Rule 1, that officer did not respond in a timely manner. Rule 4, that the phone was hung up on the complaining witness. And Rule 4 also that the officer intentionally insulted the witness. Are there any questions? Do we feel comfortable moving to vote? Okay, so we'll vote by majority of hands. So reminder, if we choose not to accept this case, then it would still be reviewed by the IPM. But otherwise, we as a panel, this would be our opportunity to decide yes or no. All right, so please show of hands for yes to review case 31. MI 2023, number 31. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. All right, any votes to not review? Okay, looks like it is pretty unanimous. We are 2, 3, 4, 5. Everyone, yep, 6, 7. Thank you. So that was a no to review case 31. All right, MI 2023-32. It's related to the previous one. The allegation is against one officer, one allegation that the officer hung up the telephone on the complaining witness. Okay, give me a second to read through there. All right, and votes to review. Votes yes to review this case. Please show of hands. Okay, all right, votes to not review this case, number 32. 5, 6, 7, 8, okay. Perfect, so we are voting to not review case number 32. And the last one is MI 2023-30. There's one officer involved with 4 allegations. First one is a Rule 1 unbiased policing, gender. The second one is also a Rule 1 violation, investigative responsibilities and case assignments. The officer did not conduct an adequate investigation. Rule 4 is Officer 1 intimidated the witness. And Rule 5, the officer retaliated against the witness. Okay, take a second to read through it. All right. Votes to review this case, number 32, or sorry, 30. 30. Okay. 1 for Madeline. I see you, Madeline. And Milen. Okay. Votes not to review this case. 1, 2, 3. I see Lizzie, Chico, and Jason, and Victor. Okay, so that is 4-2. Not to review this case. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts on that before we go to public comment? It looks like we don't have any members of the public. Okay, wonderful. Then I think that will conclude our meeting today. If we can, if I can just have like 1 minute of everyone's time after this meeting, we'll just go ahead and close out here and stop the recording, please.